Flora Pro Active. No other food lowers cholesterol more.
Our population is facing threats from an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. Dr. Vash Singh of the Heart and Stroke Foundation explains why we should be aware.
You see a higher incidence of heart disease and strokes developing as you get older, but the real problem though is now we're starting to see it in younger people. We're seeing heart disease and strokes happening in people in their 30s as early as their 20s as well. The problem is that we develop bad habits very early on in life, even in childhood. And so as a result, we develop risk factors at a very young age. So by the time you're 30, you are ready for a heart attack or a stroke.
Sports journalist, television and radio personality Robert Marawa was unexpectedly struck down by a heart attack a few years ago. Strangely, it happened on a day where Robert was actually trying to be healthier.
At no point did I think, or nobody else would have thought that a 35-year-old would find himself in a hospital as a result of a heart attack. It had been quite a long time since I hadn't been exercising regularly. So the irony about the whole thing is that that was the stage when I decided, you know what, from that day and every other day at 11 o'clock, that will be my blocked off time to go to the gym. And it just so happened that that day one became the day that actually triggered the heart attack.
Being under 40 at the time, Robert would normally have been considered a low-risk candidate for a heart attack. However, there were risk factors already present which he was not aware of.
I mean, there was no family history of a heart attack or heart ailments. So this was, in the main, a big shock and a big surprise. But to a lot of people, and including myself, when you reflect back, then you do see that it had to do a lot with lifestyle.
Protecting one's heart requires a holistic lifestyle approach. It's a combination of diet, exercise and other lifestyle choices, as Dr. Singh explains further.
It's about looking at how you live and the choices that you're making. So this involves, for example, being active, physically active. What you eat is also very important. Watch your sugar levels, your salt levels. Make sure that you're having the right fats. Tobacco is a definite no-no. If you have alcohol, just make sure that it's moderate. And of course, our stress levels. We need to create balance for ourselves and decrease the stress levels.
Mark Pilgrim is probably the country's most outspoken heart attack victim and uses his celebrity to raise awareness and help others avoid the same trauma he experienced. Also a few years shy of 40.
My biggest mistake was I didn't look at my family history. I'm in shape, I eat extremely well, I'm a gym and fitness freak. So I always thought, well, it won't happen to me. The one thing I didn't do was look at my family history, and I've got a history of heart disease. So I had high cholesterol. Even though I wasn't consuming bad food, my body was still churning out bad cholesterol without me knowing.
Mark was fortunate enough to have his heart attack diagnosed while it was happening in his doctor's office. He was later told that coincidence is what saved his life.
It was July 2008. Started getting some pressure on my chest. It felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest, briefly, and then it abated. I thought, well, thank heavens it's not my heart. So I thought possibly it's acid reflux, maybe it's a bit of anxiety, and I left it, which is probably one of the big mistakes I made.
With both men now knowing better and both living much healthier lifestyles with guidance from their healthcare professionals, they have some sage advice to share.
The most important thing to take out of all of this is know your number. And it's become a bit of a cliche that we say know your number and you go, oh, I must check my cholesterol, but you don't do it. I'm living proof that I'm someone who thought it would never happen to, and it happened to me. So it could happen to you. You've got to know that number. I had the heart attack with a cholesterol level of 5.8. If you have a history of family heart disease, the number means so much more. So know your family history and go get a cholesterol check at least once a year.
The message is simple. Just be aware, know your numbers. Don't take things for granted. Take stock of your life and make sure that you do check, because it's within the fast-paced life that we live in that little things do creep in. We might not be aware of them. They don't come across like a headache where you quickly take a tablet and it disappears again. Because when it does hit you, it might be fatal. People might not be as lucky as I was lucky. I just have a a second chance, of which I'm very grateful for. But it doesn't happen to everybody, so people just need to be aware.
Flora Pro Active. No other food lowers cholesterol more.